Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and today we have some awesome footage for you. This is Ukrainian forces launching preemptive strikes at Russian military near Kharkiv. We're going to break down just what exactly is the role of this mortar team and just how well trained they are at their job. Let's get into it. As discussed, this comes to us from The Sun via Reuters, via Ukrainian Armed Forces, and we are going to be linking that in the description. First off, I want to take a look at the gear real quick. Also, you got to appreciate the fact that all different sorts of helmets have been donated to this team. Looks like our guy on the top here has a plate carrier with a front and back plate, as does the guy setting the mortar in place. This is a big mortar. Looks like maybe a 120 millimeter. You can see it's got its huge base plate here. I'd be curious to know what this is, if this is supposed to be an IFAK or a radio. It's a really big pouch for a leg holster pouch. Shout out to our boy with a helmet cam. I actually wonder in this conflict if the helmet cams are not just for like cool footage for your grandkids or whatever, or to show your boys back home, but if it's also something that's done for intelligence reasons, that if you encounter something or see something, let's say you go on a reconnaissance mission, that you can bring it back and literally play the for-year command the exact moment. Hey, how many APCs did you see? Oh, I saw 3. See, one here, one here, one here. And it really, we used to have to go on a patrol, come back, write a report summarizing what we saw, send it up to the intel guys, and the intel guys always got it wrong. Those guys, like, I don't know where they found them, but they need to teach some of them to read. I would literally read reports and I'd be like, the intel guy said this crazy thing happened in our region. Somebody was in a complex ambush and got hit with IEDs and RPG fire. And they're like, Paul, that's you. And I'm like, this is not what happened to us. Maybe the broad strokes would be like, you correctly identified like a troops in contact, but like it was mortars, it wasn't RPGs, right? Like, the location would be wrong. And I'm like, I gave you guys a grid location. It's 8 digits long. It's accurate to the meter. How did you get the entire wrong valley? Like I think it's either laziness in input or just, they believe they know what happened better than you do. And that I've seen a lot, where they're like, they don't know what a mortar is. My intel says that it's an RPG. I know because I've read other intelligence reports that say that they don't have RPG. They don't have mortars in this region. It must have been an RPG. And then they just correct what you saw. It's so annoying. It annoys the absolute bejesus out of me. And hopefully in the era of the helmet cam, that sort of stuff slowly stops. Love the tactical pickup truck, just loaded with big, again, I really think 120 millimeter mortars. Interestingly enough, this guy doesn't look like he's got a back plate. Looks pretty thin. I mean, maybe he may have one of those thin steel plates that are like thinner and heavier, whereas this may be like a ceramic plate. That's why it looks a lot thicker. I actually don't know enough about mortar ops, but anyone in the comments can tell me what the role of this like fabric is just to keep it from bending, or these wraps. So he says, aerial reconnaissance is reporting that the enemy is moving an APC and set up an observation post with some enemy infantry. So this is actually pretty good. Aerial reconnaissance probably refers to drones.
Техніку у вигляді бойової машини піхоти БМП і поставили спостережний пункт з піхотою противника. Тому задача.
So this is actually interesting. He says the mission was to eliminate enemy military vehicles and infantry and prevent their attack on our positions. So in classic U.S. and NATO military doctrine, the way we format our mission statements is who, what, where, when, why, right? So who is usually your unit, what you're in charge of. So he might say, for example, if he was formally doing this, now obviously this is going to be publicly disseminated, so he wants to preserve some level of OPSEC. So but if he was talking to like his commander, he might say, hey, Bravo team, first, I don't know, Bravo team Mortar section, B company, 3rd Territorial Defense Brigade or something. 1st Battalion, 3rd Territorial Defense Brigade. It would be what engages enemy positions with 120 millimeter mortar fire in vicinity of grid coordinate Charlie Delta 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. When no later than October 28th 2022. Why? In order to prevent their attack on our positions. So that's how you would formally give a mission statement, because it contains enough key information that even if you were to get taken out, your team can still execute, still understands what it is they have to execute in a relatively complete way. Obviously, he's left out who exactly he is, where they are, when this operation is exactly going to take place, because it simply would never give that to a press person.
Поставлено знищити бойову техніку і піхоту противника.
But I'd be curious in order to part of the mission statement hints to me that this guy has had some level of team leader training.
Для унеможливлення наступу на наші позиції. Подимі, може, його постав легче.
Looks like they're maybe arming, doing fuses, getting the mortar in position.
Так, у противника є контрбатарейні системи.
So he mentions the enemy has counter battery systems which can quickly detect where the artillery is firing from. Yes, these are radars that can calculate if they basically will ping the incoming projectile twice, understand its parabolic arc, trace that arc back to a point of origin, and automatically direct the batteries to fire back.
Які завдяки своїм можливостям дуже швидко знаходять, звідки працює артилерія, і потім контрбатарейним вогнем накривають.
So he knows to get in and get out quickly.
Тому кочуючи працює дуже швидко. Виїхали, відпрацювали.
I love it. We head out, do the work, leave the position. That's some serious Chad energy right there. But I want to point out, watch them quickly leaving the position, right? You notice how there's not a lot of wasted time, but there's also not frantic energy either, right? They've run their mission. They know exactly what to do. They're hooking it up. They're keeping the base plate intact. They're preparing it for transport, right? And as soon as it's hooked up, that truck is turning over and they are getting ready to get out. And that is a sign of a well-trained team. They know that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I mean, let's just watch this quick clip again, and you'll understand that they're going fast. They're going because they're going smoothly. And they're on the road already. Every time we've seen Ukrainian mortar teams, I remain quite impressed. Leadership seems good, straightforward. They seem really well practiced, really well trained. It's a dangerous job. You got to go out into the open and sling some rounds, but you hope that by being well-trained and growing in experience that they can stay safe. Makes you feel bad for the mobilized Russian soldiers on the receiving end of this, probably, because frankly, they do not have the benefit of the months and months and months of experience. Guys, if you want to see the combat footage that I cannot show you on YouTube, YouTube has been cracking down on combat footage a lot, but I do all my breakdowns on the Patreon. Thanks to my Lieutenant tier patrons. You guys are the ones who make this possible, and I'll catch you all in the next one.